talk about the bigger picture. Let's talk about how we be ballin', playing with the Wizards. Let's talk about the Nats and how they always got good pictures. Let's talk about the cats who rescue, turn them boys to winners. Injuries and updates, oh yeah. To the opponent, we stand toe to toe, yeah. To the top, this podcast gonna go, yeah. I think it's something you should know, yeah.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to episode 76 of Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. That's the Stoner, and that's Trev. And we're bringing you the best quality content on DC sports here on our channel. Of course, this is our flagship program that we air live on Wednesdays on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Be a fan and subscribe to the channel and support us. Like this video. You can also catch us on your favorite audio platforms after the show. So make sure that you head out to those, subscribe, so that way you get them downloaded right away. And if you're on Apple, make sure you leave a comment section there for us so that way other people can find us. In fact, we're going to make a concerted effort to read off those reviews next week. So if you leave one on there, we will make sure to read off those next week. That's going to happen. We are sponsored by Pacers Running. For every run, they've got you taken care of. And why don't you head down on to Lexington, Virginia, where you can see our other sponsor. That is the Sky Bar down in Lexington. Trev is the owner of that bar and does good things down there. So see him in Lexington, Virginia. And of course, we have a partnership with DC Sports King. Check out our 2-minute takes on DC Sports King. Subscribe to their newsletter as well. Now that we got the housekeeping out of the way, gentlemen, let's talk about what today's show is going to be. On the cool down, I have a special topic that I'm sure people will have some great comments for, especially as we're talking about our man Carson Wentz and why the 3 reasons why we think he could be the NFL MVP.
He will be
the NFL MVP come this season. That's the game for today. And then in the warm-up, we're going to be talking about Terry McLaurin having officially signed that contract deal. He is with the team, so I'm still sporting the Terry jersey. And we're going to warm up right now actually with some NBA talk, as there's a lot of Chet Holmgren love going around. And more importantly for our DC sports, Bradley Beal has signed his contract. The deal's coming out on that one. 5th-year player option and a no trade clause. 10th only. The 10th person to get a no trade clause in there. Stoner, you're the one who's closest to this team, and you've been the biggest Bradley Beal supporter. How much do you love this contract?
I want the same energy from you two and all those that are listening. I want that same energy when the Wizards win more games this year than they've won in the last 40 years. This is the year that you guys are all going to eat your words on Bradley Beal. I'm sorry. You guys just gotta get off of your.
We're clipping that.
Yeah, clip that. This is the year they're going to win more games than they have at any point in the last 40 years. This is the year they're going to do it. Mark my words.
40 years?
Yeah.
Because that was the last 50-win season, right?
Yeah, it was like 42, 43 years ago was the last time they won 50 games. They won 48 just a few years ago with with John Wall, right? So they could have got to 50, but they didn't. So, yeah.
Could have. Come on. Could have. Get out of here with that. So the last time they had 51 season was 78-79 as the Washington Bullets.
Right. So it was 42 years ago. So
49. So they were on the cusp there, 2016, 49. 2017, as you mentioned. So you're saying for the first time since that season, they're going to get to 50 wins?
They're going to get there.
They're
not. Eat your words, and he's going to earn that contract. Nobody's worth. Well, I always say this, that you're worth whatever they pay you, but nobody is worth $50-some million a year. But he is, because he's getting paid that.
No, he's not.
Carry them. He's not going to carry them, but he's going to have a nice nucleus with the unicorn and with
Denny's been looking pretty fresh. Denny's been looking.
No
pretty
one's
fresh.
guarding him. Come on.
I know, but his shot has changed.
You know, I like Denny though. You know, I like Denny, so I'm a little biased on that one. No, Gus Bus. I think after he cleared out his 401k on a bad over bet, that I don't think Stoner has $1,000.
No, I built it all the way back up. Don't you think I didn't? I built it all the way back up.
Look at that one too. I agree with Gus Bus on that comment too.
Okay, well, he can earn that contract and he can win 50 games. Take that, Gus.
Stoner. It's not happening.
Okay.
I'll bet $1 on it, Stoner.
You need to do. We got to get off of this dollar bets for real bets.
Your thing, Stoner. That is all the way from our days in Germany, where you would bet $1. We literally gave you as a going away gift.
That's how confident you are in this bet. You want to bet real money?
Yeah, I want to bet real money.
Man.
If anyone wants to bet,
man.
they're gonna do it.
Get in that comment section and start placing your bets for Stoner, and we'll let him decide which ones he's going to take on for that. Shout out to those in the comment section already. We got Gus Bus, Doug, Tanner, EP in the house as well. I like this, Gus Bus. I like OKC will win more games combined in these next 2 years than Washington.
No, they will not.
That's a really, really bold statement. Now,
oh my God.
That being said,
you guys,
there was a lot of love for the number 2 overall pick as he had a historic game. In the G League, it's not quite the Summer League. It's just Summer League. Yeah, so it was the Summer League that he had this great game. It was as impressive as it was. Trev, you were saying
I'm not impressed.
Not really the real competition.
No,
these guys,
Summer League.
He's
that are supposed to do this in the Summer League. Like, number 2 pick, you would hope he would do this with ease. So, like, why is it a surprise and like? He blocked Taco Fall. Taco Fall has played 4 regular season NBA games, maybe total.
He's a sideshow.
Other than that, he's a G Leaguer guy, and he's a humongous dude who can't move. Gavin, Nathan's 9-year-old son, could probably block Taco Fall's shot by the time he gets, like
he's pretty tall. He's I'm 6'3". His mama's 5'9", so Gavin's gonna be a big kid.
If the record is 6 blocks in Summer League, that should tell you everything. People in the NBA average that, like sometimes in a game.
They don't average that, but it's a little bit more common sight in the NBA. So that's fair.
90% of the guys in the Summer League don't even play an NBA
exactly.
game.
This is all tryouts. It's like
no love for the fact that he scored like 23 points on 9 shots. No love there.
No, because what's his name? Because I don't even know his name, did the same thing for the Kings the other night. So, like, it doesn't even matter if he scores 23.
I would love to see this. Trev and Taco one-on-one. That'd be good. We did offer a 3v3 game for the content creators. I bring the height. Trev brings the all-around game, and Stoner is a spot-up shooter like nobody's missing. So
we welcome all challengers, all smoke.
Yeah. Tanner wanting to hear some of our Germany stories. Despite the fact that I'm 6'3", Stoner was taken ahead of me in like the pickup games because he is just that darn good of a shooter.
They used to call me. I'm not kidding. They used to call me JJ.
For what?
Because JJ Redick. Because I could shoot like JJ.
And what's he doing? Old man of free podcast. So
creating content. You're right. You are JJ. You are JJ.
That's right.
Yeah. So not
Summer League. Summer League. You know who's the MVP of the Summer League one year? Co-MVPs for the Wizards. Otto Porter and Glenn Rice Jr. were MVPs.
And one has a ring. And one is probably not in the league anymore. So.
No, of course not. He was out after like 1 year in the NBA, and he was the MVP of the Summer League. So stop with this Summer League love for Chet. He's gonna be a basic
bust.
I don't think he's gonna be a bust, but he's just gonna be a guy.
Why not?
Yeah, not a huge love here for Chet on this one. Now, Trev and I are not fans of the Bradley Beal contract, but we are big fans of the Terry McLaurin contract, and that's what we're going to transition to here in the warm-up. In fact, Stoner, you've got a couple of clips queued up for us.
Yeah.
Do you want to intro those?
Yeah. First, let's get the Ron Rivera saying a couple of glowing things about Terry here. You're gonna rid those what you call it,
yes.
And I'll hit this.
As a football coach, to be able to have players that fit what you're trying to do and understand and really kind of see the vision that you have, and with Terry, that's somebody that we believe we have, and because of that, getting him done, we felt was one of the things that we felt had to be a priority for us. There's still a couple other guys that we want to get taken care of because we really do believe in who they are, and they in fact, in some situations, some cases, they're going to be playing into their last year, but it doesn't mean they're not wanted. But with Terry, I think one of the things that we were able to do was take care of one of our captains, take care of one of the guys that means an awful lot for one side of the football and for the team as a whole. So with that, guys, I want to congratulate and thank Terry McLaurin for being part of what we're trying to do. Terry?
That's pretty good. There was actually a couple of nice little nuggets he threw in there that some people didn't really pick up on. Like, we're trying to get other guys done who might be in the last year, but we still want them, and that's like the whole comes in the Daron Payne probably.
Cam Curls and the Daron
but still,
Paynes.
I mean, this is about Terry.
A couple of years. But yeah,
and he loves Terry. We love Terry. Everybody loves Terry.
Yeah, the way Ron spoke. I know he probably said like what he had to, whatever, but like you really felt it hearing him saying that, like, because you believe what he says. Other coaches like, yeah, he's an important player to us, so we did what we had to do, and but he was like a captain. He just felt the passion he had.
I kind of felt like Washington was almost desperate to get Terry on there. I'm going to pull this video back up on the stream because I want to actually talk specifically about Terry's body language in this, right? So
Terry,
freeze this. That man looks so uncomfortable.
What do I do with my hands?
Standing up on stage, and really, what it is, why he I don't think he loves being like loved on,
talked
right?
about like that.
Yeah, like he
doesn't know how to accept.
Yeah, Ron's up there. I mean, it's kind of awkward standing on stage waiting to kind of go up in the first place. But then, two, you're having your coach just kind of dote on you. And I don't think Terry's that kind of player to really want that, right? And I think we're going to see that a little bit in this next clip. But that was the kind of the thing I noticed here at the beginning of this clip. And I'm sorry for our audio listeners. Definitely want to check it out. But he's just kind of standing there, and you can see like he's like kind of – he doesn't know what to do with his hands. He's kind of like patting his leg, and he's just kind of like, okay, he's thinking about what he has to say. And I don't think he was really enjoying this love fest that was built for him to kind of showcase a premier talent that the Commanders have and that they're excited to keep on board. So let's, why don't we go ahead into that next clip there?
All right, here we go.
I cried some real tears because for a lot of my life, I really had to grind and work for what I have now. And I had a lot of adversities, and, some people didn't necessarily believe in my ability, but my faith that sustained me, the people that my village, the people that were praying for me, sacrificing for me, my family, my girlfriend, my homies back in Indianapolis. Like, I had so many people are the reason why I'm standing here today, and I wouldn't be here without them.
This is a man who is living out his dream and is now making 4 times as much as he made. Like, his signing bonus was 4 times as much as he's made his entire career up to this point. So you can kind of understand the emotion. Trev, what did you feel about, not just that, but some of the other things that Terry was talking about and bringing to the table?
He kind of, quote unquote, not no pun intended, took command. He takes command of every presser and interview he does. He just goes up there. He knows what he has to say. There's no and he doesn't repeat himself. He's that comment, reserved blue collar guy, and you just ready to run through a brick wall for that guy because you saw how emotional and how passionate that contract means to him. Other players are like, yeah, it's cool or whatever, but like to him, it's more than just the money. It's like the opportunity to sign that contract, what he had to go through to get to this point to even get looked at for an extension.
Third round pick.
Look at special teams. Like it's not just about
he's wide receiver one
for the love of the game, truly. So, and I'm glad that he's on
how many
squad.
guys really get that chance that, like you said, he was a third round pick and a lot wasn't expected of him. How many guys get that chance to move from a third rounder to, like Nathan said, wide receiver one, to get a $28 million check just
to be captain,
to be a cap? That doesn't happen very often. So we have to feel lucky. As much as we love to just pummel this team and all the choices that they've made, both on and off the field, they got this one spot on right. They nailed this one, and we are benefiting. Obviously, Terry's benefiting, but we are benefiting as fans to be able to watch him play and have all those attributes, all those characteristics that everybody loves about players, and everybody wishes all their players could be just like Terry. We're lucky to be able to have that on our team. We're lucky.
And shout out Ron Rivera and his boys for scouting all these players, because this is like the most focused, determined, passionate locker room we've had in quite some time that I can remember.
Yeah,
like no funny stuff.
Even if they didn't draft Terry, they're the ones who put him in the captain spot. They're the ones who are
and
pushing
their teammates
him forward
around
and saying
that
he is a leader for the group. So absolutely, and Dominique, you're right there. Perfect role model for Dotson. I'm gonna actually kind of question Stoner here on one thing. Come on, I have 2 Terry McLaurin jerseys. You know I love Terry. You said, though, that he has all the qualities that fans want. Now, we have some friends over at Declassified. Check out their channel and their website. They create good content. They also say that they want their wide receiver one to be a diva. They want them to kind of, attack and be that kind of player. Do you think that there's something missing there with Terry, or are you happy with, obviously we're happy with Terry as number one, wide receiver number one, but do you think that's something missing from his game, is that me mentality?
Yeah, the want of the ball, the demanding of the ball. I think that's actually a good quality to have for your receiver. But for every Terrell Owens, there's a Jerry Rice, right? And for every what's the guy out? DK Metcalf. There's a Terry McLaurin, right? There's a guy who doesn't demand the ball, but once it comes to him, he does what he has to do with it.
I was going to say, he's a diva on the field, like just by those catches he makes, the contested ones, that's the diva in him, that like, I'm going to get this ball. Like it's going to come to me. So I have to get it.
And the thing you always worry about with divas, besides all the diva activity that they display, is that maybe when they get their money, that maybe that takes the dog out of them a little bit, right?
Some of them, yes.
Because now I've got mine. Now I'm satisfied.
Paycheck,
You're not going to see that with Terry McLaurin.
Nah, it's going to be even better.
McLaurin.
Yeah, and I think not to as far as the fact that he did trash talk trash talk Diggs. He did that. He had that amazing catch against Tampa Bay, and he gets up and he does that pound.
We all thought he was KO.
Like, we thought he was knocked out. I do think that he has, as we say, that dog in him, but he honestly, he definitely, just like his media personality, he is a lot more reserved. He will talk that trash when it's appropriate, but he's not going to sit there, and he wants the team to be successful. And that's why you have him as a captain. Now, we brought up Dotson. This is the next point to bring up. This extension will put him we talked a little bit about the fact that it's going to be right as he's peaking, right? It's going to be he'll be coming, out of season, his year 29 in life season going into year 30. So he's right at his peak performance. But, Dotson is going to be due for a contract extension at that point too. Trev, any predictions for how that's going to play out between the two of them?
Terry is going to be demanding a lot more money at that time, set by the wide receiver market at that time. So I'm not saying this is going to happen, but there is a possibility that we don't keep him after that. There is, it's reality. It's just what it is. We have him for 3 years, so we need to focus on that. But for this question, he's going to demand way higher price tag than Dotson, and I think we should go ahead and lock up Dotson, and because I think that's going to happen. We'll lock up Dotson wide receiver and then let Terry walk because he's going to demand too much money that we don't have. And Dotson is pretty much a Terry Jr. so far. So
all things being equal, assuming that Dotson does become that receiver that we think he can be, then you would have to let Terry go at that point. But maybe he's at that point in his career. Well, he'll take the hometown.
I was going to say, he'll be like, "Yo, whatever it takes to bolster this roster, I'll take." Yeah,
what happens if Carson's still here and they're coming off an NFC Championship game loss, and he has unfinished business, and he wants to come back at maybe a reduced rate or less than market value kind of rate because he's already got his money. Who knows? But if all things being equal, you got to let the older guy go, and you got to keep the young guy in house.
What percentage of the cap? Because obviously the cap is Kobe's getting in there. Kobe's got his own opinions.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. What percentage of the cap would you commit to if Dotson is that wide receiver that we think he can be? And of course, Terry has proven that he is absolutely wide receiver one after these 4 years that we have him, right? So the last of his rookie year and the 3-year extension. What percentage of the cap would you spend to keep both of them?
To keep both? Percentage of the cap? 50%.
For two guys?
And two wide receivers?
And then 50% to 52 other guys or whatever it is, 51 other guys?
Grayson,
I don't know.
Good
keep both. 30%.
Who knows what the number might be? But if you can afford them both, obviously you want to keep them.
I would give the same extra extension we just gave Terry. I would give that to Dotson at that time. 3 years, $70 million.
Yeah, what is his percentage now? What is?
I don't know.
You'd have to look it up, right? So
can't be that much.
Yeah, I don't imagine because it's 23 a year. What's the salary cap at right now? 100 and what? Someone look it up for us.
Whatever the salary cap,
whatever the salary cap is, and his is 23 million of that. And so
this year? I still don't understand.
It's not this year. He's still on his rookie contract this year. So that's why they gave him the 28 million signing bonus.
Yeah,
was to kind of do that.
Count somewhere. Where does that signing bonus count? That's what I'm talking about.
It'll be good. First String, shout out to First String Podcast. Check them out on their own YouTube channel. Can't call that just yet. You're right. This is all hypothetical, but it is an interesting thing. We did have who was saying that Gus Bus was bringing up the next Terry negotiations will be for his next or his last contract year. So it'll be 2025. Dotson will only be going in his 4th year then. So that might not be coming at the same time there. So that will be interesting. It was also brought up, isn't it a good thing to have, for this decision 3 years down the road? Yeah, absolutely. If these two are balling, it absolutely is good. We got Merle in the chat here. New TV will be done and cap will go up big. Yes, which is why I know the cap's going to go up, which is why 71 million, like Trev was mentioning for this contract, is not going to be enough to keep Dotson if he performs up to his potential, which is why I wanted the percentage for 2 wide receivers. How much would you be willing to pay? Maybe they do some sort of trade deal.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Get something like that, like people have gotten for Tyreek Hill and stuff. Tommy T, hello in the chat here. We're talking about the decision maybe later between Dotson and McLaurin and Stoner. You have a prediction?
I got a prediction. Deron Payne gets an extension prior to training camp starting.
Nah, I got you right here. Nah.
The week of.
That's not going to happen. You think that's going to happen week of? I think they signed Cole Holcomb before they signed Daron Payne. That's my hot take.
Maybe even both, right? They
might see
they
both
might restructure a couple of guys too in order to create some more cap room so they can bring in linebacker.
Landon Collins.
Right? Wait till we start talking about the linebackers next week.
I can't wait because it's going to be quiet.
Yeah. But I mean, Ron hinted at it in his press conference, right? He hinted that we've still got things to do. We've got a 3-year plan that we want to take care of certain guys within this little 3-year window that they got going forward. And I think Daron Payne is a part of that.
I think that honestly, that's what I feel like that was hinting to was Payne. However, I agree with Trev. I think Cole Holcomb gets signed first. I think Cole Holcomb is the easier and cheaper of the deals. And Payne is
sign him for a can of SpaghettiOs.
Is going to be Cole Holcomb. You're going to get Cole Holcomb on the reasonably cheap. If you sign, especially if you sign him now before you see him as the Mike, you're going to get him on a reasonable deal.
He's at least a
agree. I think he gets. What's the Hello Kid one? Anyways, we're not going to talk about food. Man. We are going to transition into the game where we are going to be talking why Carson Wentz will be the NFL MVP. Go ahead and get in that chat right now. Give us your top 3 reasons why that's going to happen. We'll give yours right here after this. The game is brought to you by Pacers Running Stores. Pacers has 6 stores in Northern Virginia and DC. For the best running footwear, apparel, and gear, just stop by or schedule a virtual fitting with the best running experts in the business. Pacers Running exists to help as many people as possible through running. For every run, it's Pacers Running. Welcome back to the game where we are going to be talking Carson Wentz, the top 3 reasons he will be the NFL MVP. If you missed our chat earlier, we talked about Terry McLaurin and his contract situation as he signed it and how we are very excited. We also kind of talked about who was going to be next there. Merle in the chat with Sweat being one of the people that they're also looking to sign. I think that's a strong possibility.
They still got time with him, though.
They do.
Yeah,
they do have some time.
We might not even want to look at it if he don't do nothing this year on defense. Just saying.
Right.
So let's go ahead and get in the chat here with your top 3 reasons why Carson Wentz will be the NFL MVP. And Stoner, I believe you're up first for us, and we'll get to those ones in the chat here.
Yep. All right.
Hold on, before we look at that comment real quick.
He loves him some Schweitzer.
Yeah,
the Schweitzer one.
You guys were dogging our man Schweitzer. We can't have that again.
All right. Here we go. All right. So here are the top 3 reasons, according to Stoner, of why he's going to be the MVP. So first of all,
I like that card.
The numbers don't lie. I'm going to throw some numbers out here for you, right? Me, the non-numbers guy, the sniff test kind of guy.
Yeah, you've all of a sudden gotten.
I know, man. I've been
taking my role. You're taking my role.
Okay, so there have been 64 MVPs.
Okay.
It started in 1957. Jim Brown was the very first one, right? So out of those 64, 45 of them have been quarterbacks. Okay? 14 of the last 15 have been quarterbacks. Any idea who the guy is in between there?
Yes.
In the 15, who was a non-quarterback in the last 15?
It's either, was it Sean Alexander or was it LT?
Christian McCaffrey?
Running back LT.
Running back LT was actually the 16th.
Okay.
Which is why I didn't go any further.
I don't know then.
Adrian Peterson.
Okay, it was Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, Adrian Peterson. The last, he was the last non.
It was his 2K season, wasn't it?
Probably. I assume it was. I think, it was like the year after his ACL or whatever. I believe, right?
Yeah,
okay.
I think he got comeback at MVP at the time.
3 times a Washington Redskin has won an MVP.
Okay.
Only special teams player in there.
Yeah, that's right. The only special teams player, which was Mark Mosley in 82. Back-to-back years, Theismann won in 83. Larry Brown, running back Larry Brown in 1972, won the MVP in the NFL. All right. Next, there's only been 3 non-offensive players. And the one was Mark Mosley is a kicker. And there's 2 defensive players. Any ideas?
LT, the original
Lawrence Taylor. That's right. And then one probably before your time, you probably couldn't pull it.
Okay, so it wasn't Reggie White because it was
No.
that'd be my other guess, but
it was Alan Page for the Vikings, defensive
part of the Purple People Eaters.
Yep. All right. So, and then the last number I'm going to throw at you. It's been 38 years since a Commander / Redskin / Washington football team member, which was Joe Theismann in '83. 3 + 8 is what?
11, and that's Carson Wentz's number.
I'm just saying, numbers don't lie. All right, number two reason, Terry McLaurin.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
We love Terry McLaurin. He's going to obviously benefit from Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz is going to benefit from Terry McLaurin.
Starting tomorrow in California, he's flying out.
That's right.
You do not know how happy I am. Like
I saw that.
That.
I can't do cartwheels right now, but if I could, I would be doing cartwheels.
I'll do one for you.
That's how happy I was to hear. I talked about that beforehand. Not to steal too much of Stoner's love there, but thanks for String Podcast for that shout out there. But I just wanted to hear Terry McLaurin or Carson Wentz working with his wide receivers, specifically Terry McLaurin. I know Terry McLaurin's got the contract thing, and maybe that's why it didn't happen until now. But I am beyond excited to hear that they're meeting up and they're going to work on that chemistry, because that is super, super important for this season for them to be successful.
And by the way, since he officially signed it today, do you think today was the day that he went on his app and looked into his bank and he saw that money in his account?
Yeah, that's why he flew out to California today.
Can you imagine just
so
seeing
fast.
your bank account going from whatever it was to
no, I couldn't imagine. I probably
million or whatever after taxes.
I probably, my pants.
I think for us comparatively, we wouldn't need to see $28 million for us to be in tears.
No,
with our current bank accounts, with our current bank accounts, you could probably put $20. Yeah, Trev's like, just $28 in my bank account would be a big improvement.
That's right. All right, and the number one reason why Carson Wentz will win MVP, and I kept it PG on the written part, but I'm not going to keep it PG in the spoken part.
No.
God damn it, we deserve it. We as fans, we deserve an MVP. Okay? That's why he's going to win, because this fan base deserves it.
Yep, you're right.
They deserve a winner.
These 3 right here.
Exactly.
So those are my top 3 reasons.
They deserve a winner. That's fair. Before we get to Trev's, I'm going to talk about some of these in the comments here.
Yep.
That's a pretty good list there, Stoner. I appreciate those as well in the comments. In fact, that's why I want to get to some of those real quick. We have, of course, the one just to trigger you two, Schweitzer.
Yeah. You just
that was just for triggering. That was there. Tanner says he has the best receivers around him in his career. Fact. And he fits our mold. He didn't fit the mold in Indy, and in Philly, he had no chance when they won a Super Bowl without him.
In Philly, they ran the West Coast offense, which is a short passing game, which is not his strength. And in Indy, they were a run-heavy offense, not his strength.
Now, in Philadelphia, he was on an MVP-like season.
He absolutely was.
Up until that injury. So that West Coast one, just be mindful for that. Huge shout out for Gus Bus here.
Gus, look at you, buddy.
Much love for the $20. We appreciate it. We don't point to the super chat option all that often. We don't want to, seem like we're begging for money, but we do appreciate when people go ahead and hit that. So that is down there. Gus Bus with the $20 donation. We want to show some love for you. In fact, I think it was your comment who I was actually going to bring up next, anyways. Gus Bus with we have playmaking wide receivers and tight ends. We have a great O-line coaching and depth. and our defense and special teams will set him up with short fields. So, and this is something that we talked about as well, right? So they feeding into each other. If the offense is better, the defense is going to be better. If defense can get you short fields, Carson Wentz should be able to hit that pay dirt and the scoring will go up, which will make winning games a little bit easier. And that's something you're going to need to do if you're going to win the MVP. Gus Bus also with, I know you guys are having fun, but I think the Stafford year last year should be the model for Wentz. MVP hopes are overkill. I don't think so.
Right. No,
I don't think so. That's the whole show here is going to be.
Yeah.
Is going to be exactly why he's going to get there. And let's go ahead and move to mine. Shout out to those who are joining us in the chat. Also, Uptown Dre, Tyler, my mom, Jared, and Tommy T all in the chat here. Let's get to mine, and we'll get to more of the comments after this.
All right.
So I'm up next, correct? Yeah. Nope. Trev's
up next. Sorry, I told you guys incorrectly.
Stoner was apparently hitting the drink early.
All
right, Trev.
Go ahead, put number 3 up there for me.
All right.
Trev's like, I don't remember what.
Nah, so yeah, his MVP play with less talent around him. If you guys remember back in Philly before he got hurt, that was the MVP caliber season, and he had, less talent around than he does now. We have wide receivers, like they said, tight ends, running backs, a better O-line, probably a better offensive system. So I just think if he gets back to where he was in Philly with that style of play, we'll be okay. And number 2, he has talent on both sides of the ball. Comments kind of hit on this too as well. Obvious on the offensive, we have Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, De'Ami Brown, Jahan Dotson, Logan Thomas when healthy, Cole Turner, Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, Brian Robinson. And the O-line is actually pretty decent. Trey Turner coming over from the Panthers, Pro Bowler. You got Andrew Norwell coming from the Panthers, Pro Bowler. Chase Roulier is the best center we've had in a long time when he's healthy. Charles Leno on the other side, and Schweitzer. So, and then on defense, he hasn't had 2 edge rushers like Chase Young and Montez Sweat before. He did kind of have a defensive line in Philly with Fletcher Cox and Vinny Curry and maybe some Brandon
defense
Graham
was
a little
good
bit.
that year.
So he kind of has the same thing here, but with Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, the new kid from Alabama. So that'll help out a lot too. And that, like what the comment said, shorter fields, the defense, if they're all healthy and do what they're supposed to do, they will provide shorter fields for Carson and that high-powered offense. That's number 2 for me. And number 1 is because, well, plain simple, I said so. That's why he will win MVP.
That's because I said so.
This is because I said so. So, I mean, he's due for it. Why not?
Yeah, if Stoner can say that it's because we deserve it as fans, then that's fair to say that because you said so here. We have Jared throwing some shade in the chat here. One, he asked if anyone was concerned about the O-line for Wentz, and then Wentz wins MVP. Ha ha ha. LOL. Dude will be lucky to make it to week 2. We appreciate you watching, Jared. But come on, man.
Jared?
There's no hate. There's no hate allowed here in the MVP
Who's
talk.
your team for real?
That is interesting. He said I think he is a Commanders fan. One, he's wearing a Redskins hat in his picture, but he has ads here because we're cursed. That's what it would be the issue. Protection for Wentz, and that. Honestly, right? We thought that Fitzpatrick wasn't going to be the long-term answer, but we thought that he would be a good stopgap. And he goes out after how many plays last year? You saw RG3, Alex Smith. These guys were getting injured, and so maybe there's some concern there, but it's not going to happen this time.
Dog.
It's not going to happen this time.
MVP.
He is going to be the MVP. Jared is a fan since 77, just calling it how it is. We get it.
Enjoyed 3 Super Bowls, my friend. So
that's true. Tommy T with Taylor Heineke was immune to it. So was Cousins, right? Cousins didn't suffer any serious injury while he was here. Taylor Heineke was QB1, whether you want him in it or not. He was QB1. Let's go ahead and get to mine. Don't forget, put yours in the chat if you haven't already. What are your top 3 reasons Carson Wentz will be the NFL MVP? Let us know in the chat here. Mine coming up here. The first or the third reason for this is offensive, explosive playmaking.
Yes,
all right.
Sir.
Stoner, you kind of talked about this a little bit in yours, right? Philadelphia. And by the way, I hate this picture of me. God, awful picture.
I just saw it. It looks so cute.
So bad. I do love the shirt at least. The Washington football team, it is what it is.
Widow Nathan.
Explosive playmaking. We'll get off the picture here. Playmaking. So Carson Wentz is known for kind of being somebody who likes to take those shots downfield. Yes. He has the playmakers to be able to do that. This offense is also something that wants to do that. That's something that Scott Turner has not been able to do these last couple years with the someone forgot arm day. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's Carson Wentz isn't skipping arm day, and he likes to throw it downfield. Scott Turner wants to push the ball downfield, and I think that's going to marry it up for some exciting plays, which you need to have that MVP play, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's going to also lead to quality stats. He's going to be the first. I'm calling it now. He's going to be the first Washington quarterback to get 30 or more touchdowns since Sammy Baugh?
Slinging Sammy Baugh.
I don't know did Sammy ever get there? Or maybe he what? Maybe he's
they haven't got there since like the 50s.
Yeah.
So I think he's like Kirk Cousins got there was a Tanner Austin. I didn't say that Fitz was a savior. I'm saying that he was supposed to be. Oh, Jared said it.
Jared said he was supposed to be the savior.
Yeah, he was supposed to be a quality one stop.
Yeah.
1 year stopgap.
Terry McLaurin did say he remembered his rookie year watching us play Philly and Carson Wentz throw the deep ball, and he was enamored.
Yeah.
What does enamored mean, by the way?
That means in love.
Oh,
basically.
Yeah. So it sums up what Nathan says right there. Proves the point.
Yeah, man.
So let's move on to number 2 reason for me.
It's an easier schedule. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, this is something that we've talked about a little bit when we've talked about the schedule, right? So, and I just said that one of the important factors for winning the MVP is to be on a winning football team. And the easier schedule means that Washington should hit double-digit wins when everything goes right. And if Carson Wentz can lead the Commanders to the NFC East champion and, actually have double-digit wins, look impressive during this with that explosive playmaking, he's going to be MVP.
Yep.
And our number 1 reason. Yep.
Number 1?
Because it's going to all tie together. It's Terry.
It's Terry.
It's Terry.
Terry has turned this franchise around.
He is a QB friendly wide receiver. He's going to make Carson Wentz look good. And it's not going to be one of these like, well, is Terry the reason why he's good? No, people are just going to look at this QB play and the fact that he's thrown for, 4,500 yards, 35 touchdowns to less than 10 interceptions. And they're going to be like, this guy right here is the MVP. And that's the reason why Carson Wentz wins the NFL MVP.
I like it.
I'm getting this picture off the screen because that doesn't need to be up anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think the schedule. Trev said when Nathan came up on the number 2 reason why, and Trev was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't think about that," and that's something I overlooked as well. That's a really, really big deal.
It is.
The strength of schedule cannot be overstated. Because if you remember 2 years ago, obviously when we won 7 games, but still won the NFC East, we had that ridiculous run of quarterbacks that we faced. Just a bunch of no names, a bunch of backups over and everywhere you went was the backup. Last year, Philadelphia had the exact same thing. They played backups after backups after backups, including our backups when we played them every time. So that strength of schedule is going to help, obviously, with your team's record. And when you don't have to play those tough teams week in and week out, you're going to thrive. And those players who are pretty good are going to play above that level. And that's what's going to happen with Carson Wentz. Hopefully everybody stays healthy, but yeah, he's got
that is absolutely the big thing. You're right. So you got to have healthy, and that's what we're talking about here in the chat. Is Fitzpatrick? Jared was like, Fitz was supposed to be the next savior. He didn't make it to quarter 2, and Tanner. That's where Tanner was like savior. Fitz was a fill-in. That is, Fitz was supposed to be a bridge QB. Mm-hmm. He didn't last that. He did get injured.
It's a faulty bridge.
You definitely, yeah. It was not a well-built bridge. It was probably with some government funds there. But he was brought in to be the starter, but he was only supposed to be a bridge starter. He was never going to be long-term. The guy was, 37 or 38 when he was starting with the Washington football team. Regardless, he was only going to be here a year or 2. In fact, he was signed to 1 year, and the hopes was you'd get your quarterback of the future that next draft or via trade.
I have a hypothetical we'll never know, obviously, but what if? Okay. So we signed Ryan Fitzpatrick based on his career as a backup, right? Because that's all he was. This was the first year he was going to be a full-time starter from day one. OTAs, voluntary workouts,
first year camp. In a while.
Well, yeah, with no competition, right?
He was in Buffalo.
He was in Buffalo as the number 1.
He was their number 1 guy for a few years.
Right, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, most of his career he was.
Yeah. So what if he threw for over 30 touchdowns, nearly 4,000 yards, and like 12 interceptions? Do you think we would have extended him knowing the quarterback's coming out? Do you think we would have kept him for like another year or a 2-year contract?
1,000,000,000%. Absolutely.
It'd be hard not to, right? Yeah. And then you draft a guy like Sam Howell in the 5th that you're trying to develop to be, maybe his replacement, or you just gamble with the next one. Absolutely.
That was the mood going into last season was, he has a team from training camp, So I was just thinking, and we kind of were expecting him to throw the ball downfield like a YOLO all the time. So we were kind of expecting at least 25 to 30 touchdowns, probably like 15, 16 interceptions. It is Fitzpatrick.
Absolutely.
But and 4,000.
I think we would have been happy with a 28-24 season, to be honest, just to get some points on the board.
I think we would have extended him too for a year or 2 if he was. Now, same record, but those quarterback stats. Do we sign him, or do we have to make the playoffs with those quarterback stats from Ryan to extend him?
7-10.
Yeah, but he still had those stats as Fitzpatrick. Do we extend him?
Probably.
Still?
Probably. If you have
but you don't have to extend it to a huge deal if that was the case. That didn't happen, but they ended up trading for Carson Wentz here. And Doug says that the reasons why Carson Wentz will be the MVP is a new culture. Scott Turner gets unleashed, and winning games going away. The strength of schedule helps there. And again, that's going to help the stats. It's going to help the victories. That's all going to be something to come into play here. Dominique, with a little shade again, a little shade on our MVP talk here.
I don't think so.
Carson Wentz, this will be the first year he has to compete for his job.
Nah,
I'm assuming that was Carson Wentz. And I just don't see, where's the competition?
Taylor Heineke went on air and saying, if you're bringing in a quarterback and you're paying him $30 million a year and you're paying your backup like $2 million, he's quarterback 1. So even Taylor knows.
I don't think there's any quarterback.
There's no competition.
No, it's a straight shot. We're going to go do Ethan's, and I'll get to Grayson's hypothetical here in a moment. Ethan, I think Wentz will thrive or fail depending on how well he can handle all the immense pressure he's under. He's got a lot to prove to himself. The Colts and the Commanders continues to say, I think Wentz will that's a repeat comment. My apologies. I need to read those ahead of time. Ethan, I do feel like there's some pressure on Carson here.
Sure.
Trev, do you think that Stoner thinks there's a lot?
Yeah,
Trev,
for him personally, yes, because this is his 3rd team in 3 years. He was in Philly, quote unquote, got benched to Jalen Hurts, whatever. Reasons we don't know why, but was told he was semi-wanted by his college coach in Indianapolis, come here, I played with you before, yada, yada. Didn't work out. Now comes to Washington, and Ron Rivera did say in that clip, you're somewhere where you're wanted, which Frank Reich probably said the same thing when he went to Indianapolis. Sure. But now this is a personal pressure because you're on 3 teams in 3 years, and you're Carson Wentz. You went from MVP Carson Wentz to 3 teams in 3 years Carson Wentz. So personally, you have a lot of pressure. But for the Washington Commanders, Maybe not so much. Yes, because we want you to be long term, and for yourself too. You probably want to stay and have stability, but also we got Sam Howell, we have Taylor Heineke, we have draft capital. We can go get another guy next year. Like, we're not under much pressure as he is personally. I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right. But the biggest thing is he's under a tremendous amount of pressure, and pressure is relative. He's got enough money for generations. So the pressure of earning a living is not there. The pressure of being a starting quarterback in the NFL is huge, because if he doesn't succeed, then like you said, Trev, that's 3 years in a row where he hasn't succeeded as a starting quarterback. Nobody's going to give him that chance again. They'll give him a chance to be a backup or maybe compete for a job, but nobody's going to bring him in to be the starter for your team next year. Yeah. But for Washington, there isn't a whole lot of pressure, because his contract after this year, he's still got 2 years left on that contract, but it's not guaranteed. So if things go bad, they can simply cut bait and try again with somebody else, right? Or if he does well, you still have his contract. You still have 2 years of him that you can turn around and then guarantee him. So there's really not a lot of pressure on Washington, other than they've got to do fairly well, or else the coaches and all them.
The coaches might be replaced here soon.
Yeah,
but Carson Wentz
is at least back on the quarterback carousel again. But
at least as a franchise friendly deal right now, and that's actually what Grayson here talks about. We had the hypothetical Dotson, McLaurin. What about Wentz if he makes the playoffs? Do you actually go ahead and sign him right away? Or do you let him play out one more year and then take start the wheeling and dealing? What happens? MVP Carson Wentz this year. They make the playoffs. They go deep into the playoffs. Yeah. Right? They win at least one game.
Oh,
okay.
Do you immediately sign Carson Wentz to a deal?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You're giving him
immediately.
I'm trying to think of somebody who signed a big deal, a quarterback who signed a big deal fairly recent. Whatever Lamar Jackson's going to make.
Hell no!
You're going to give him that kind of money.
Deshaun Watson type money, 5 years.
Not Deshaun Watson.
Well, that's what Lamar's going to get.
He's not going to get 240 guaranteed.
He's his own agent. Why won't he?
He's not going to get all that guaranteed.
If Deshaun Watson got that without any playoff appearances, Lamar Jackson, and out without MVPs, Lamar Jackson's going to get more than 230.
I hope
should.
Lamar
it's
Jackson.
Not always how it works out, but should.
But he'll give himself
Carson 2 years, $50 million.
Oh, he won't take that.
Why wouldn't he?
He's a nice something
guy.
Like $180 million over 4 or whatever.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
do
He just said he's an MVP and he leads you deep into the playoffs. You're going to give him all the money.
You're going to give him some good money. You're going to give him good money. I would still prefer that they see a 2 year span prior to giving him money, but that's me. You guys are saying both pay him right away. I think if you can wait, if you can wait to the next year, then you can go ahead and pay him that final year. And with all this being said,
yes,
Carson Wentz, we hope that he pans out, right? So you're not having these questions of they should have drafted a quarterback in the draft class last year. They should have traded up and done all that. One, I don't think that they really liked a guy well enough to do that. They clearly didn't like a guy enough to do that this year. They waited until the 5th round to take a QB. Yeah. So, I think that they're playing this well, because if Carson Wentz doesn't have that MVP season, they can go after a QB next year in the draft, which is risky because you're probably in the hot seat as coach if you're going into year 4 without a winning record.
Go get Tom Brady.
Playoffs there. So that's not good. That's just not going to happen. Real quick on Jared's question here, his ridiculous question, as he says, he wants to know how others feel about this. What are the chances of the NFL making it to where we won't win because the Snyder debacle? And I'm going to go ahead and throw on the conspircy because
since Roger Goodell is ran by Dan Snyder, that ain't going to happen. The NFL is not going to do that because of what Dan Snyder's doing. He's on Dan Snyder's side, so why would he do that?
If Dan Snyder wins, the NFL wins.
Yeah,
right. Because
they're butt buddies.
The fans come back. This is a team that's down.
Whoa!
Here. Whoa! What was that? This is a team that's down here, right? If you can lift this team and this fan base and everything up here, everybody wins.
I know.
Everybody gets more money and all that. So the NFL is not going to hold them back because of all the issues that Dan Snyder has.
He gets paid by Dan Snyder. He ain't gonna hold nobody back.
Yeah. So I don't think that's a very tough conspiracy theory, and I think he kind of.
But it was ridiculous, like you said. We appreciate it.
He called it ridiculous. That was his. Yeah. I don't think that we as fans will joke and talk about how the league is out to get us and they don't show us enough love, which can be true, especially in the national media. We usually get a lot of love for a lot of teams. And I've talked extensively about how Washington, despite being one of the top markets in the US, often feels very small market. And a lot of it's because the focus isn't on the sports, rather it's on the politics that happen here. And I think that a successful Commanders team can change that around. That could make things a little bit different. Dominique, how do you all feel about Sam Howell versus Cole Kelly on the Carson Wentz MVP?
I don't think about either of those two at all.
I do. I think Cole Kelly's practice squad and Sam Howell suit up as quarterback 2.
Yeah, next season, that's going to happen. Gus Bus with the if we're not at least 500 after 12 games, do you bench Wentz, assuming he's been unimpressive, in order to save the second round pick next year? Our schedule should make it easy for Carson, right? Right. I mean, he brings up a valid point. There is that clause that if Carson Wentz plays X amount of games, that you're going to give up a second record there. So do you bench him if he isn't that MVP that we've talked about?
No.
And I can see that as a possibility, except for after 12 games. It depends on where you're at in the division.
Well, if you're 2-6, wait, after 12, that's really bad math.
Public math.
5 and 6, like
if you are 4 and 8, for example, I think you might consider it.
No.
But if you're like 5 and 7, I am not the guy who tanks to try and help yourself the next year. You go out there every single week and you try and win the game.
Yeah, who gives you the best chance to win?
And personally, I'd rather look at an interception from Carson Wentz than from Taylor Heineke all day, any day. So
maybe that's where you get to see Sam Howell.
And we better not bench Carson Wentz.
But is that where you get to see a Sam Howell in that regards? Yes. I think, like I said, it depends on where they are with the NFC East, because we saw that before, right? Where they realized they were still in the division, and so they made some changes to try to be competitive for that. And, those questions were kind of, questioned at the time, because it was just like, are you hurting Dwayne Haskins, his confidence and everything. And, but I think that they have shown that if they're going to be competitive for the NFC East, they're going to continue playing. Doesn't matter if they're below average after the 500. We're going to go ahead and move this conversation along to the cool down, where we will still talk about Carson Wentz in relationship to the Baker Mayfield deal that was done today. So stick with us for the cool down. Thanks for all the interaction. And again, Gus Bus for that donation in the super chat. We always appreciate the fan support on this channel. We've been pretty high on Carson Wentz this episode, so I hate to kind of bring any sort of controversy on our end to it.
There he goes.
But Baker Mayfield was just traded to the Carolina Panthers, which means he's probably destined to be a Washington Commander at some point in his career. The cost for Baker Mayfield was about a fifth of what it cost to get Carson Wentz. Is Carson Wentz 5 times better than Baker Mayfield?
Yes.
No, not at all. Not even close. I think they're very comparable. I think those.
When have you ever talked about Baker Mayfield as MVP ever? I'll wait. When? When?
That's why I'm staying silent. But I don't think it's. Yeah, I don't think it's fair to say.
How many times?
I'm talking about when Nathan is like comparing what they gave up to get him compared to what Washington gave up, because Cleveland is eating a lot of that salary. They're paying a lot of that salary
more than half, yeah.
Right?
It was like what, $19 million total, and they're eating more than half.
They're eating 12. Carolina's paying 8, and then Baker I think took three to the chest there, which they moved incentives. So
I mean, hell yeah, I would too. For me to play, it's not like he did out of the kindness of his heart.
There's no guarantee. There's a lot of talk about how he's going to have to compete against Sam Darnold, because you got to remember Sam Darnold was just the Carolina. Stoner's doppelganger, Matt Rule, is desperate right now to keep the job because it was. They were. If you would have told Carolina they had 2 of the top 3 picks from just 4 years ago, they would have been ecstatic. However, not quite what the situation is. I think Baker Mayfield's going to beat out Sam Darnold. I think Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback than I think a lot of people give credit to.
I think so.
He's
pretty good.
I don't think that Carson Wentz is 5 times better than Baker Mayfield, but I do think that the situation's better. And I think the situation behind the deals were different, right? Mm-hmm. Baker Mayfield was traded for this late into the year. Carson Wentz was traded when people were actually looking for QBs and trying to solidify that answer. At this point, the market's kind of dried up. Baker Mayfield was also guaranteed to get traded and not play for the Cleveland Browns, right? They were just not going to get anything for him, and then he was going to walk. And so that situation is you just get whatever you can out of it. And I think that's what they did. Whereas Carson Wentz, as much as he might have not have made Indianapolis happy, they would have sucked it up with him for another year if they didn't get a trade worth going after. But I also think that there was multiple teams in the market for Carson Wentz. At this point, there's not a whole lot of teams in the market for Baker Mayfield because most teams have settled on their QB situation.
Who are really the only teams left that are sitting out there without a quarterback or a legit Seattle and Pittsburgh? Is there anybody else really?
No, Pittsburgh was out of it. It was just Seattle and Carolina were the only 2 teams left, I think, mentioned for.
Yeah, because
I'm not talking about mentioned.
Trubisky.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. I'm talking about a legit quarterback. I mean, Seattle's got Drew Lock, right? He's on par with Trubisky, right? So I'm just saying, like, what are the only teams left in the NFL that don't have
that need a QB?
That need a QB. I'm
Tom T says Houston.
Really. Yeah, Houston. I'll give you Houston.
They like Davis Mills, though. He got better through the season.
Yeah. Davis Mills equal to Chet Holmgren. All right. Okay. They're just
a lot of hype, but maybe not a whole lot of there.
No.
Everyone's hyping Davis Mills because it's like the sexy thing to do. Davis Mills.
If you remember, you can check the receipts. I liked Davis Mills going into the draft.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
He really did. He did. You really think Baker Mayfield is automatic QB1 right now?
Yes. 1,000,000,000%. They can talk about he's got to fight for it and all this. Sam Darnold. Okay, Davis Mills is garbage. Sam Darnold is below Mitch Trubisky, Drew Lock, Davis Mills. He is absolute garbage.
He's been a starter.
He definitely showed that he showed last year he's not a QB1.
He's not a real
here's my thinking on this and why I think Baker's QB1 without a doubt. You don't trade for Baker to be a backup quarterback this year.
That's true too.
You just traded all those assets.
You got a fifth rounder for it.
But they had to give a 5th rounder because they gave up 3 firsts for Sam Darnold.
Right, they gave up too much.
So it's not like they have a bunch of assets to get away. But you don't trade all that for Sam Darnold and the very next year trade for another veteran quarterback unless one, you're desperate, which rule is Stoner. You're desperate.
Mm-hmm. I'm desperate,
and like you're just like, okay, we're gonna go for somebody who obviously can play because this guy can't. They're only keeping Sam Darnold at this point because
they have to.
It's
probably under contract. Get paid.
Yeah, you're gonna pay for it anyways. So Pittsburgh would have been an interesting one. Mitch versus Baker staying in-house. I think Baker would have loved that opportunity to play the team that
Cleveland
dumped
twice
him.
a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but I think they're happy with
Cleveland
the Mitch Trubisky and Pickett that they have.
So Cleveland plays Carolina.
And that's very true. I think his name was
right?
Chad Henne. Yeah, they do. Game 1, Browns and Panthers. That's a good point right there.
Mayfield
like
couldn't
that
beat
one.
Mahomes' backup
teams.
in the playoff game.
Mayfield wasn't the only player on the team there.
He only has one playoff win in his career.
Okay, and who did he beat? He beat Roethlisberger. So it's not.
So did we? So it's not like it's anything.
No, but in the playoffs.
We beat them. They were 11-0. Who cares?
The Browns might be one of the few NFL
fans
franchises
understand.
worse off than Washington at this point.
Yeah.
So the fact that they made the playoffs, won a playoff game, and then they're shipping away the QB who brought that into fruition, pretty crazy there.
And by the way, that had nothing to do with Baker Mayfield. He had a fantastic game against Kansas City, right? It wasn't against Mahomes. It's not like Mahomes was playing cornerback, right?
But he was playing offense.
His defense couldn't stop Mahomes' backup. What had Baker Mayfield had nothing to do with that.
You got to score points on offense with your quarterback.
He was very good that year. Enough of the Baker slander.
We just had one 2 years ago.
Huh?
We definitely care who the quarterback is, Tommy. We had a playoff win 2 years ago. No, we're not a playoff win. We made the playoffs. You're right.
I was like, I know it was a moral victory.
You're right.
To play the eventual Super Bowl winner to the closest game they had all playoffs, but that was not a victory. That was
not that great. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying he's an A+ quarterback. I'm saying
he was a first round draft pick,
and I would prefer
for
Carson Wentz right now. I would prefer Carson Wentz right now. But it's a lot. There is a lot of talk, Trev,
not based on anything else. Okay,
about the fact that Carolina got for cheap.
He was the number one draft pick, and he just got scooped up for a 5th rounder to a team who already has 3 quarterbacks on the roster, whose head coach is desperate for a job. It has nothing to do with how good of a quarterback he is.
The most crazy thing I saw in this, like we're talking about Sam Darnold being the competition, they actually traded more assets.
Yeah.
To pick up Matt Corral,
exactly
in the 3rd round than it actually took to get Baker Mayfield.
I would have done it too.
Or his twin brother, Matt Corral.
I would have done it too. I would have done it
Matt,
too.
I don't care. He's probably not going to be impressive in the NFL. Corral.
Yeah, you're right. He's probably not. None of these quarterbacks this year are going to be impressive, I don't think.
It's going to be – they're going to be maybe some good backups in there. I think, honestly, Matt Corral can learn a few things from Baker Mayfield because he does play with a lot of spirit.
Play with a broken shoulder and a broken arm and
honestly, I think Baker did himself a disservice playing injured and showing how much spirit and heart he has because he was not good, right? He was not good injured. And
you take away Jarvis Landry and OBJ at the time, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, Baker Mayfield is nothing in the NFL.
Well, of course. You're only as good as your surrounding players.
Tom Brady was surrounded by nobody, and he has 7 rings. I'm just saying. All right.
Tom Brady is the exception to the rule. Okay? Oh, Tom Brady had Randy Moss and couldn't win a Super Bowl.
Exactly, but he did have Julian Edelman, who was who? And won Super Bowls.
Right. There are exceptions to the rule.
I'm just saying, your number 1 overall draft pick, and this is a shot to Nathan dearly because he's an Oklahoma guy.
Yeah,
so this is where this is coming from, really.
It's number like West. Where can we bring back the West talk and get these guys here? Actually, I want to talk Grayson's decision, or he wants to move the conversation along here.
Okay.
Outside the big 3, Watson, Wilson, and Rodgers, who's under center for 22 for us?
I don't understand the question.
I think, and Grayson, correct me if I'm wrong. If you're, because he says if you had it your way, who would you want under center if you could just have any QB outside the big 3?
Outside the big 3.
Yeah.
He didn't name Tom Brady, so I'm putting Tom Brady on there.
No, we're taking the guy in Buffalo. We're taking Allen.
Josh Allen. I'm taking Justin Herbert. I'm surprised you didn't say that.
Well, listen. I mean, it's like Sophie's choice. It's Sophie's choice between Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson.
I'll take Joe Burrow.
So for the record, I'm going to clarify a little bit here. He is also just talking about the targets prior. So we did talk a lot about these. These were the potential trade targets. These were the potential pickup targets. So to clarify here, so the big three obviously were Watson, Wilson, Rodgers. Okay. Who did we want? If you guys can go back and think, obviously we can encourage you to watch some of our older content because we talked about it.
I would have liked Deshaun Watson out of those three.
You can't take one of the big three outside the big three.
Of who was available.
Gus Bus with Winston. That was one of my top targets, and these guys hated that.
Who was the top target?
Taylor Heineke.
Winston.
I said dude. Winston would be
Stop
we had a whole video on the ratings.
I would Jimmy G. I guess
Jimmy G.
Because he's been to the NFC. He's been to the NFC Championship and a Super Bowl, and he backed up Tom Brady. He went 4-0 in his first 4 games starting. So he knows how to win. Jimmy G, believe it or not, as ugly as he plays, he's a winning quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, look at his stat. He's
You're right.
I mean, he's a winning quarterback. As ugly as he is, and as not sexy as he is outside, because he is a looker.
I mean, he's a sexy.
But on the field, he's not a sexy player. But he's a winning quarterback. He's been there. So I'll take Jimmy G. That's my answer.
That's fair.
Winston was one of my top. It's actually funny. If you do go back and watch it, you'll hear how much I did not want Carson Wentz. Can you
imagine him at a press conference in DC? Well, we got that W. We ate W's today.
He would have a different kind of crab to eat out here. My preferred targets, I'm just real quick on this because, like I said, we did create a lot of content surrounding the QB talk here. I preferred the free agent targets because I didn't want to give up draft assets. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't want Carson Wentz and I wouldn't have wanted Baker Mayfield, was because I didn't feel like they were that much better than the free agent quarterbacks. So I didn't want to give up draft picks. That's why Winston I thought would be a smart target, but it would be just a bridge.
What did you just say? Repeat that again.
I just said Wentz. It's been a long.
Did you say Baker Mayfield? Did you say Baker Mayfield? Did you say that?
No, I wouldn't take Baker Mayfield. I didn't want to trade. You pay Mitch Trubisky $8 million or whatnot for a couple years, and you draft a QB. I thought was a much better option than giving up. But I will say, as long as they don't restructure the deal this year, I love the Carson Wentz trade, because if it pans out, you've got yourself a good deal. And if it doesn't pan out, you cut ties and you move fresh starting next year. Here we go. But as we talked about all episode long, he is going to be the NFL MVP. We gave you 3 reasons. We actually gave you close to 9 reasons. We did double up in at least Terry McLaurin, because Terry McLaurin is the most exciting player we have on the team currently.
He's the captain now.
He is the captain now. We appreciate all those in the chat jumping in with us and talking with us and keeping the discussion lively and going. Yeah. Of course, we stream live every Wednesday on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at 7:30. That's our flagship program that goes out on all the audio platforms. Derek Carr was a good option there as well.
But that was a trade as well.
That was a trade. That was not my target. That was Stoner's target.
Yep, that was my target.
You can listen to us on audio platforms. We are sponsored by Pacers Running for Every Run. We're also sponsored by the Sky Bar down in Lexington, Virginia. Go ahead and see Trev in person. And DC Sports King, we have a partnership with them. Check out our content on there and all the great content on DC Sports King.
They should have let RFK burn.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that. RFK, by the way, I drive by it on my commute into the office, and you really don't see any difference in that. It's such a dilapidated building. We'll probably talk more about Stadium Talk. Make sure you check out our channel, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, be a fan.
We love Washington, and we saw them die hard fans. Yeah, we are. And you know we keep it on 10. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, let's go. And they give